Okay, so I did the plot profiles strategy, and basically this kind of just allows the students to better understand complex stories, and it's usually only used with chapter books. It kind of asks students to talk about the tension that goes on throughout the story, and the students are able to read each chapter of the book with a purpose in reading it. And then as a class, the students get to discuss where they think each plot on this graph should go and why they think it should go there, and get to create arguments about those topics, and how to use it in the classroom. So the teacher should make a big plot chart and put it on display for everyone to see in this classroom, and typically it's done on big graph paper, so there's a column for each chapter, and then you can give the students a smaller version of it, so then they make their own plot as they read the story. And then the second step would be to introduce the chart, which the teacher should start with the first chapter of the book and have the students discuss what happened, the tension in the first chapter and all the events that happened in that chapter. And typically it's best to have this happen in small groups instead of one large group, and then you can come together and talk in a large group. And then once they've done this, the teacher will introduce the plot profile and explains that the students will make a graph on this chart about the tension of each chapter. So then the whole class is going to discuss the level of tension in the first chapter and decide where it goes on this chart that they have, which I will show you in a second. And then the third step is the students are going to continue to do this for each chapter, but they're going to do it on their own on their little graphs. And then once they're done, they'll all reflect on their charts, and as a class they'll plot the plot of the story on this plot profile in the big class for everyone to see. So I will show you mine that I did for the book. It had to be on 2 pages, so there's that. And that. So here are these. And then I'll post those pictures in the comments so you can look at them better. On each of the graphs, each graph will have this bar on the side right here where it's a high point and a low point, and that's where they kind of get to decide where to plot each part of the book. Cool. So I'll read some of the things that I put in there that I thought were important to the story. So I put chapter 2 as being important because Lolo gets brought home in a police car because he tried to pick up the wrong twins from school. And then I picked chapter 12 is when Lolo gets lost in the beach clubhouse, and this is when we first get evidence that there is possibly something wrong with Lolo, and you can tell that Mercy's really upset about that and all that. And then I picked chapter 19 because it talks about if Mercy questions her mother on if they'll ever put their grandparents in a nursing home, and she's really distraught about this. And then I picked chapter 21 because Michael comes over to her house to get his costume made, and Edna is very upset with Mercy, and she doesn't really understand why. So she kind of tries and figures out in this chapter why Edna is so upset with her and what she did. And then in chapter 23, someone ruins Michael's costume, and Mercy suspects it's Edna since they have been fighting. And then the last chapter, well, not last chapter, but chapter 34 I picked because Mrs. Tannerbaum takes the 2 girls into the principal's office to discuss the issues that have been going on. So is a plot profile.